All right. So GME popped up a little bit today. There was some covering, mostly around CNS. It kind of still looks like it's just being shorted, though. I wouldn't say it's got a lot of potential to run. It is, however, slightly above delta neutral. Upstart probably is going to get a bit of a continuation here. I think it closed the day just at delta neutral. If it can hold above delta neutral tomorrow and we actually get some market action, it can probably keep going up. Gamma max is 47 there, roughly. The only thing that could set that back would be like a big drop in QQQ IWM same day. Otherwise, yeah, I think that looks pretty good for a continuation. Fubo, maybe. This is going to be more tied to IWM running or not. It's still liquid. The short interest here isn't that crazy. So, and we probably saw a decent amount of covering already today. And we could see more. Generally, when it breaks above 264 to the upside, it starts to test that $3 range because of all those 250 options that go in the money or out of the money, respectively. So, I would say $3 kind of the upside target there. It might exceed it a little bit. Possibly just like pop back into that long-term trend that you see there to the upside. Siri, not really nothing interesting there. Top got the shorted out of it today. Liquidity's quite dry, and we're already starting to see some ETF covering on it. Generally, once this, if you're looking at this like thing starts to heat up, see how it's getting brighter colors? I'm not kidding. These like brighter colors are indicative of a little less liquidity there than meets the eye, which could mean that it's going to see some covering. So the tips heat up now. That tip heats up. Beyond actually had a pretty good morning, and then it just kind of the bed. I know borrow rate went up here today. We'll probably just see continued shorting. I don't really have any high expectations for this right now. I think they've got enough liquidity and they're still off reg show that they don't really need to worry about covering. But it is getting close to the levels it saw back here at its like $5 low. So once we see liquidity move down kind of into this range, that's going to be a much better time to go long. It's taken a really long time to go down. Like I would have expected this to move much more quickly like it has in the past. It's just not doing that. It's taking a really long time. And this is probably because indexes are running, but this is part of the underlying and it's heavily short. So that creates a lot of, contention between the two sides of that trade. And if the index like ETFs that it's in are kind of inundated with bullish positioning, it dries up the liquidity and makes it harder to short the underlying. And so by the time this gets back to the liquidity level that it was at, back here at its low, the price may in fact be much higher. We got SPX, it broke up. I expected a breakup today and then just traded flat. It's probably going to continue more of that tomorrow, maybe slightly up. There's a little bit more out of the money interest, but our close relative to that out of the money interest was quite low. And then if we slip back under that trend line you see right there to the downside, things start to get a little bit more bearish. But they're really not very bearish until we get back under like 4,800. Under 48, well, even 48.18. Under 48.18, you've sort of confirmed a reversal on last week, and below 47.10, I think 47. It's like 47.15 would then confirm that reversal into the next week, into the end of Jan. We'd still have to move down quite a lot to ensure that any of this was bearish, but I expect gamma max, like the gamma neutrals, to continue to move up. Those are going to get closer to spot, and then we have Vega neutral here to the upside, which means that without any liquidity and any buyers, any short puts sold to synthetic long the underlying are going to have a negative impact on price because they're going to push the longer and longer Vega the more puts they sell in this range. And so today we didn't actually see a lot of vol shorting, and I'm pretty sure that cash VIX closed up close down at the end of the day. It was up for most of the day, but very light volatility shorting compared to what we're used to seeing, where we see it especially on a big run where we usually see it move down like 5-6%. Definitely not as much impact. And so, it may be that with reduced pressure on short vol, that we get a little bit better shot at seeing that downside, but we're definitely not enough positioning built up yet to indicate any direction. And hopefully with tonight's options data, I'll get a slightly better idea. Yields started to turn up at the end of the day, but they were down for most of the day. Dollar coming back up, moving to retest that 103.50 level. If dollar breaks 103.50, especially on Bank of Japan news tonight, we may start to see banks lean into the carry trade harder into the next couple of weeks, and that's going to tighten financial conditions. So the more they lean into that trade, the further down they're going to push yen, the more dollar is going to push up. That's going to help lift that top end of the yield curve up, which is going to drive that volatility demand. Core 1 month down and 3 month down quite a lot today. Some of this move, Thursday, Friday, but still moving down today. Retesting our prior low from Jan 10th before we kind of had that week of downside. But we're not back at our low from like July yet. So still looks like that may reverse before it reaches that, but it may not. Nothing really interesting here. Vol and yields didn't move much today. Skew's continuing to push up. It's now at 23.02. So after I believe it's 15% or 15 on skew. After that point, the probability or no, sorry, I'm 130 on skew. The probability for like a 2 or 3 sigma move starts to increase, and so the probability of a very large move is increasing, and there's not a lot of tail risk hedging, or at least tail risk hedging is becoming very cheap very quickly. I don't think those matter. Let's see, we see volatility slide down now, negative 44.84% correlation. That just keeps increasing each day, which is probably notable. All right, that's about it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hit me up on the Discord if you have any questions. I should be around most of tonight, and I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow. Later, everyone.